What would you say is still the most common misperception about the block editor that you wish people would understand and get past?
So if you can kind of change the way that you think about how you interact with the block editor and embrace the concept of data stores and understand that part, I think that's the piece that unlocked it for me personally, was once I realized there's these like things that I can get access to. I can retrieve any piece of information I want. I can trigger things myself inside like for example, if I wanted to lock the post so nobody could edit it, I can do that. I can just call a little function and have that happen, and it's all available. So it's just unlocking that level of access to the block editor, usually through the data stores, the actions and the selectors and things, is something that I think unlocks a lot more power for people, and then it really goes, oh wow, you can actually do some really cool stuff with this.
Hey everybody, it's Roger with Kinsta. I'm joined again by a good friend, Ryan. Hey Ryan, how are you?
I'm good, Roger. Thanks again for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, man, it's always great to talk with you and kind of hear what you're up to. The last we talked was before WordCamp Asia, so here we are again before WordCamp Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a presentation you're going to be giving there, and I'd love to kind of just dive right in and start talking about it.
Sure. So it's called the Block Developer Cookbook, and I'm super excited because I've been lucky enough to present this workshop 2 years in a row at WordCamp Asia. And last year it sold out. They did some pre-registration stuff, which was a really good idea, and it sold out. I think I had like almost 200 people for like 80 spots or something. It was fantastic. So I'm so flattered and honored that happened. And so I'm so excited that WordCamp Europe accepted that same proposal. If you're not familiar with it, people are probably saying, well, why would you do the same workshop every single time? It's not really the same workshop. The content is the same, but the whole premise of it is everyone gets in the room. I have a special sort of voting system, and then everyone gets to vote on the recipes, because it's a cookbook thing, that they want to work on. And then so so no two instances of this workshop are ever quite the same. And it's really interesting to see like who wants to work on what depending on. And so I'm super excited to be able to bring it to WordCamp Europe. I'm going for a world tour with this thing. I'm super excited about that. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
all right,
fun.
so let's dig in here a little bit. First of all, is there a registration page for people to start filling out already?
Yes, there is. It just got announced earlier this week, maybe, or late last week. And I did actually put something up on my socials about it, but I will provide the link and we will get that out there. But yeah, you can sign up now. There is some information around prerequisites, like stuff that you should bring with you, like a laptop, power bar, things like that, or power supply. And just so when you get to the room, you're kind of ready to roll, and we don't have to worry too much about not having what you need. Now, that being said, I always carry some little USB keys around with me to give you, a working environment, so you're pre-set up. So hopefully, if you don't have what you need, I can provide it, and we can just hit that ground running.
Beautiful. All right. So once people sign up for this and it's packed to the gills, what should people kind of arrive at this with a certain knowledge of? Like, how is it going to help them the most if they come with XYZ kind of preparation?
Sure. It's a great question. So the premise of this is that it has 3 levels of recipes, sort of like really beginner, sort of like introduction to block development. So you should have an understanding of WordPress development in general. Some JavaScript development knowledge would be good, like understanding, if you were to look at the way a block was built, if you've built a custom block in WordPress, you're probably going to be in great shape. I do make sure that I walk through a lot of the concepts. If there's stuff that I think people aren't getting, or maybe it's a slightly different concept, I'll kind of call it out. So that's kind of the fun of this, is that we all do the recipes together. There's actually a website, blockdevelopercookbook.com. You can go there right now and you can go through all the recipes. They're step by step. They're sort of like online tutorials, but doing it live with me means you get me talking about it too. So hopefully I add a little bit more than just the written stuff on the page. But yeah, I mean, just show up and be ready to learn, and we should be a lot of fun. I'm all about questions. No such thing as a dumb question. I mean, we all got started at some point. So so just come and look to have fun, and there might even be some little swag. I got some 3D printed keychains for WordCamp Asia that were just insanely popular, which I was not expecting. But I have to figure out what I'm going to do this year. I haven't figured it out yet, but yeah.
Okay, excellent. All right, so it sounds like go and do a tutorial on how to build a block. Even if you're totally confused and you're totally lost, you'll at least have learned the building blocks involved. No pun intended. Based on your past courses, so, people show up and they vote on what they want to build. How do you come up with the list of ideas of things to build?
Great question. So the idea behind this for me was prior to being in my current role, I worked at agencies for a long time. And so a lot of sort of like tutorials that are out there, all kind of like hello worldy type of it shows you a concept. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a series of tutorials or recipes that showed you a real world problem, like an actual thing that you might have to build for a client, say. And that's where this kind of comes from. So the idea is we build a thing that we want to build. Like, for example, there's one where it's for block styles. And so we have an image block and we want to create an image style that makes it look like, someone's taken a piece of Scotch tape and taped it to the website. I don't know, so it's less about what you're building, but more the concepts behind it. But there could be a case where like a client wants to have like something look like a Polaroid or whatever it is, right? And so the idea is teaching you the concepts that build you out something that you might actually use in real life. And so that's sort of the idea. Like we have a light dark toggle for a website that uses the interactivity API, which is super fun. That was the big one at the last time I did it. So there's all kinds of stuff with the interactivity API, with block bindings. There's all kinds of really fun things, but in a way that like you might actually use it.
Yeah. So the list is already predetermined. Do you ever share the list before? Is it a surprise?
Yeah. No, it's not a list. It's not a surprise at all. If you go to blockdevelopercookbook.com and go to the recipes tab, you will see all of the recipes that you can choose from. Now, I have one or maybe two new ones that I haven't quite finished yet that will be up before we go. But so if you want to go and just sort of see what they're like, check it out. It's all there. And you can do them at, offline on your own time too. So it's...
Excellent. All right. So, it sounds like people that are coming to this, either they own a site that they're doing a lot of work on and they want to be able to do more custom work, or maybe they work in an agency and they're looking to skill up or upskill their capabilities. When it comes to the questions that people have during this, what are some examples of some like really great questions that, either caught you off guard a little bit or just really helped you dive into the concept even further?
That's good. They're usually really in the weeds and they're very context specific. And I love those kind of questions because it means they're paying attention and it means that I actually have to like provide real answers and help them out. So a lot of it was around the interactivity API in February. The specifics of the question won't make any sense out of context, but and things around the block bindings API, like how you create how things are actually connecting behind the scenes, which is always kind of a really, really cool question because it means that people they're not just using the API blindly, they're like want to understand what it is, like how the API works. I mean, it's great to just use it, but to understand it means that you can like kind of circumvent it a little bit. Like there's a lot of times in my role, I spend a lot of time monkeying around with things, like seeing what I can do. And so, it's fun to see other people kind of thinking like, oh, maybe I can change the way the API works to do what I want to do if I understand it a little bit better.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to keep pushing you here with some questions on this. What do you think are some aspects of building with blocks that people aren't taking enough advantage of?
Right now, block bindings. I think block bindings are a big thing. The reason being is because they've essentially for the 4 or 5 blocks that actually support it right now, like the paragraph block, the header block, the image block, and there's another one that I'm forgetting, I think. Anyways, it does away with having to do custom blocks. A lot of times people build custom blocks to be able to connect post meta to a block and put it into the editor. Well, with block bindings, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just connect a paragraph block, a standard paragraph block. You can connect it to a piece of post meta and it edits and updates both ways. And so that's really exciting to me. I mean, that the entire API is going to be amazing when it's extended out to more blocks and then to custom blocks as well. So that's one thing I think is really powerful.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. What would you say is maybe still the most common misperception or confusion about the block editor that you wish people would understand and get past? I
think people fight it more than they need to. Now, I say that as somebody who has lived inside the block editor for like the past 5-6 years. So it's easy for me to be like, oh, it's easy, just do it. It's not easy. What's easy for one person is insanely hard for someone else, and I understand that. But there is a lot that you can do if you approach it, if you change your mental model of how things work inside the block editor. It used to be all PHP, everything was PHP. Now it's not. Now it's JavaScript and PHP a little bit behind the scenes. But so if you can kind of change the way that you think about how you interact with the block editor and embrace the concept of data stores and understand that part, I think that's the piece that unlocked it for me personally, was once I realized there's these like things that I can get access to. I can retrieve any piece of information I want. I can trigger things myself inside the, like, for example, if I wanted to lock the post so nobody could edit it, I can do that. I can just call a little function and have that happen, and it's all available. So it's just unlocking that level of access to the block editor, usually through the data stores, the actions and the selectors and things, is something that I think unlocks a lot more power for people. And then it really goes, oh wow, you can actually do some really cool stuff with this.
Okay. All right. And then I guess final question is, besides your workshop and your website, the cookbook site, what is one other online resource that you absolutely suggest people go and check out and bookmark?
That's a good one. Well, there's the block editor handbook. So WordPress.org. developer.wordpress.org/block editor. There's that. That's got a ton of information on it's a lot of information about the entire thing, about building blocks, about working with the editor itself, all the data stores, all the packages that come with it. There's so many. That's the problem. There's so many really great resources. The Gutenberg Times is a great resource for just kind of keeping up to speed with what's going on.
Okay.
In the community, I think probably those two. I'm sure as soon as we get done here, I'll be like, oh, I've got 1,000 more that you should know about.
Absolutely. Well, I think just starting with the handbook, right? And I think a lot of people overlook how much of a resource WordPress.org is. Mm-hmm. Because, when you Google stuff, all these other results come up. But there is this central source of truth where tons of volunteers, including yourself and many others, work to create this content for all of us to be able to build off of. So I definitely recommend people go and check all that out. Ryan, our time, again, has come to an end. I appreciate you spending time with me, as always. If people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, sure. You can. I'm on X, Ryan Welcher. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on most of the socials. I have a YouTube channel and Twitch channel at Ryan Welcher Codes. I'm pretty accessible. Most of my DMs are open. You can reach me pretty much at any of those places. I am in various Slack channels as well. I'm in the WordPress Slack. I'm in, as Welcher, Ryan Welcher, or Welcher Ryan. Some variation of my name is usually what my username is. Yeah, so yeah, you can absolutely find me online, and my DMs are open. Happy to chat, answer questions, or just talk nerd stuff. I love it.
Excellent, Ryan. I appreciate it. I will see you in Basel myself. I'm giving a short little talk, nothing super technical.
Fantastic.
But
I'll be there.
Awesome, man. I look forward to seeing you there and talking to you at another time.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for having me again, and I'll see you in Switzerland.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.